Hey, let's talk about the elements of art and design. The elements of art are basic components artists use to create works of visual art. The elements are line, shape, form, value, texture, space, and color. Line seems like a basic one, and it is. It's a continuous mark made on a surface by a drawing instrument. So lines can be pencil, pen, marker, crayon, paint. It could be anything that makes a mark on paper. We have different types of lines that are broken, thick, thin, wavy, straight, varied, spiral. You can see a bunch of doodled lines here on this graphic. Types of lines are structural, outline, contour, gesture, sketch, and calligraphy. Contour lines are the most basic shape of our object or whatever we're drawing. I like to think about contour lines as coloring page lines, so super graphic, kind of before you fill in all the information. Lines can show movement, they can show energy, they can show mood, they can be flexible or broken, rigid. Shapes take lines and enclose them. So an enclosed area is determined by not only a line, but also value, texture, space, or a combination of elements. This is a flat 2D shape, so that's something really important to remember. The two dimensions that a shape has are length and width. Here you can see the difference between geometric and organic, freeform, or natural lines. So organic shapes are all the ones that kind of exist outside of a standard shape, like a circle, triangle, square, all those ones that we practiced when we were little kids. Here you can see shapes are used often in graphics and in Cubist paintings, like this Picasso painting you see on the right. Form is the three-dimensional shapes in space. So form not only has length and width, but it has depth. So this is where we often get confused between the difference of a shape and a form. Form has that extra dimension of depth. Here we can see sculptural forms. We can see little block forms. You can see a drawing that displays form. Value is going to be the tool we use to display form. Value, we sometimes call shading, shows us the changes from light to dark, and it creates the illusion of three dimensions on a two-dimensional surface. So that's why our drawings look really realistic, because they take advantage of things like value. Value ranges from light to dark. In these little doodles, you can see how the cube looks three-dimensional, has length, width, and depth using shading. Here you can see value in these pencil sketches. On the right-hand side of the mug, you see a value scale. So all of those different shades are represented in that drawing and take full advantage of all the value from black to white. Texture refers to how a picture surface feels or looks or gives you the idea of how it would be if you touched it. So texture can be smooth, it can be rough, hard, soft, woven, bumpy or lumpy, jagged, rigid. Here in the photograph, you can see a really cool textured wall along with steps. You can see texture created in the top image through a print. And you can also see texture kind of reflected off of this bumpy glass mirror-like surface. Space defines the shape, or the space defines the area around our shapes, our objects. Positive space is filled by the shape or form. Negative space is the open areas around the shape or form. So in these images, you can see the Notan design on the left uses black and white to show positive and negative space. So the positive space would be the fish or the bird, and the negative space would be that space around it, the black and white areas. Color, we also call hue, has intensity and value. So when we think of intensity, sometimes we think of saturation, which we often alter on our photos. The color wheel is a tool that we will use often to identify primary, secondary, and tertiary colors. Also, the color wheel helps us identify groups of colors and schemes of colors. So we've all seen a color wheel before, but if we take a closer look to break it down, the color wheel is a great tool to find those opposing colors. The groups of colors are next to each other. Complementary colors are across from each other. And you can see how they mix side by side. So primary, we all know, are red, yellow, and blue. Secondary, green, orange, and purple. The warm, the cool, the complements, the analogous. So those are a color group that are next to each other, like yellow, yellow, and green, or purple, red, and red. And we can use these different color schemes in our artworks to create a unifying theme. That's it for the elements of art and design.